Who built the statues on Easter Island? Incredible discoveries. On a tiny piece of land lost in the vast Pacific Ocean, there are Moai, majestic stone guardians whose silent gaze has been directed at the sky for several centuries. These giant statues, carved from volcanic stone, represent one of the greatest archaeological mysteries. Who created them? How could primitive people erect such giants without modern technology? And most importantly, why? Some scientists believe that the Moai were created by the ancient civilization of the island of Rapa Nui as a symbol of their ancestors and their spiritual strength. But there are also more radical hypotheses, from mysterious disappeared peoples to contact with extraterrestrial civilizations. After all, even today, science cannot give a clear answer to how these colossuses weighing tens of tons were moved around the island. But recently, archaeologists made an incredible discovery that could completely change our understanding of the Moai statues. It turned out that these mysterious heads are just the tip of the iceberg. What lies beneath the surface? Perhaps the answer to this mystery has already been found, and it will turn out to be even more amazing than we could have imagined. Today, we will analyze the most amazing facts, mystical theories, and scientific discoveries related to the Moai. Ready to dive into the secrets of the ancient world? Then let's begin. Easter Island is one of the most isolated places on the planet, but it is here, in the middle of the endless Pacific Ocean, that one of the most mysterious cultural relics of mankind stands, the Moai. These stone giants, carved from volcanic tuff, like guardians frozen in eternity, guard the island and its secrets. Who are they? Ancient deities, symbols of a vanished civilization, or a message from the past that we still cannot decipher? Historians believe that the Moai were created by the Rapa Nui people between 1250 and 1500. But there are still more mysteries surrounding these monoliths than answers. Some statues reach 10 meters in height and weigh more than 80 tons, making their construction an engineering marvel for their time. How did a small Polynesian civilization, without wheels, metal tools, and heavy lifting technologies, manage to move and install such colossuses? According to one of the most common theories, the Moai represented ancestors who were supposed to protect their descendants and bring them good luck. Their faces are turned inward on the island, towards its inhabitants, and not towards the ocean, as one might think. This confirms that the Moai were not just monuments, but sacred guardians of the tribes, embodying the spirit of the ancestors and their power. But how exactly did they protect the people of Rapa Nui? Some researchers believe that the Moai were associated with ritual practices, and their location corresponded to the energy points of the island, which made them part of a more complex system of beliefs and perhaps even ancient knowledge about the earth and space. But there are other versions. Some suggest that the Moai did not simply protect the island, but helped maintain the balance of natural forces, symbolizing the connection between man and the spirits of the earth. And if we consider that many of the statues were crowned with huge hats, pukao, then the idea arises that the Moai could depict not only ancestors, but also supreme rulers or priests with a special status in society. But the most amazing discovery was made by archaeologists when it turned out that most of the statues not only have heads, but also bodies hidden underground. For many centuries, the world knew the Moai only as stone faces, but it turned out that they have detailed carved torsos covered with ancient symbols. Are these symbols another mystery, a hint of a lost script, or a message left by ancestors who knew more than we think? Moai are not just stone sculptures. They keep the secrets of an ancient people, perhaps pointing to lost knowledge about the universe that we have yet to decipher. Why were they created? What power do they carry? Were they just ancestral monuments, or something much more? Easter Island is slow to reveal all its secrets, but the more we study the Moai, the more we realize that we are looking at something much more complex than just ancient statues. How could the ancient islanders, without sophisticated technology, move the statues weighing tens of tons over distances of up to 18 kilometers over rough terrain? This question has puzzled archaeologists for many years. The Moai were carved from volcanic rock in the Rano Raraku quarry and then moved around the island to special platforms, ahu, where they were installed. But how could they cover such a distance without wheels, metal tools, or modern cranes? There are several hypotheses to explain the transportation of the giants, but none of them have been 100% confirmed. One of the earliest theories suggested that the statues were rolled on logs using wooden rollers, as the Egyptians did when building the pyramids. But this version is questionable. Research has shown that the island forests were cut down long before the last Moai were completed, meaning that there may simply have been no mass use of wood. Other hypotheses suggest that the Moai were transported on special sleds, moving them along the cultivated land with the help of ropes. This method would indeed allow for relatively efficient movement of heavy stone figures, but it requires too many people and resources, which makes it unrealistic for the small population of the island. But the most astonishing theory was proposed by archaeologists Terry Hunt and Carl Lipo. According to their experiments, the Moai could walk, moving independently around the island. Scientists suggested that the statues were designed with a special center of gravity, which allowed them to lean forward, and they could literally be swinged along the ground with the help of ropes attached to the sides. In 2012, it was experimentally proven that just 18 people could make a copy of the Moai walk, swaying from side to side using ropes. If this is true, then the ancient Rapa Nui had amazing engineering knowledge, allowing them to move these massive stone figures without the use of heavy tools. But the mystery remains. Why did about 400 Moai remain lying on the way to their platforms? Was it due to a lack of resources, a catastrophe that struck the island, or the disappearance of the knowledge that allowed these giants to be moved? Some researchers believe that the transportation process may have been more than just a construction task, but a ritual. Perhaps the walking statues symbolize the revival of ancestors, their movement to their descendants, a connection between the spirit world and people. But if the statues really walked, then the ancient builders knew the secret of balance, weight, and movement that we are only now beginning to understand. This opens up new questions. How advanced was the Rapa Nui civilization? How did they come up with such a complex technology? And could it be that the knowledge of how to move the Moai was suddenly lost, leaving many of them lying halfway to their destinations? The story of the Moai is not just a mystery of ancient construction. This is the legacy of a civilization that we are only just beginning to decipher. Perhaps in the future we will be able to fully unravel how exactly they moved these giants, but it is already obvious that before us are not just stone figures, but a work of engineering genius of the past. For many years, the world knew the Moai as giant stone heads towering above the ground. Their faces, carved from volcanic tuff, seemed to be eternally watching the horizon, guarding the land of their creators. But archaeological research in recent decades has proven that these are not just heads. The statues have full-fledged bodies hidden underground. When scientists began excavating the island, it turned out that most of the statues go deep into the soil, and beneath their surface are detailed bodies covered in mysterious carved symbols. These drawings are another unsolved mystery of Easter Island. They resemble ancient writings or sacred signs, but their meaning remains unsolved. Who left these patterns and why? Were they magical signs, prayers, encrypted messages, or ancestral covenants? One theory is that these carved symbols are related to Rongorongo, an ancient Rapa Nui writing system that no one has yet been able to fully decipher. It is one of the few independently developed scripts in human history, and if the Moai do indeed bear such inscriptions, they may hold the key to understanding a lost civilization. But there is an even more mysterious detail. Why were the bodies of the statues buried? Over the centuries, volcanic ash, wind, and precipitation covered them, but it remains possible that some of the statues were intentionally buried. In this case, a theory arises that the Moai were used in initiation rituals, and their hidden bodies could symbolize the transition between worlds, visible and invisible, living and dead. Other hypotheses suggest that a major catastrophic event may have occurred, forcing the islanders to abandon their rituals and leave the statues buried in the soil. Perhaps natural disasters or conflicts on the island led to the construction being stopped and the knowledge of the Moai being lost. If we can decipher these symbols, perhaps the true purpose of the Moai will be revealed to us. For now, these giants silently keep their secret, reminding us that even in the 21st century, there are great mysteries of the past on our planet waiting to be solved. Why did the Rapa Nui civilization disappear? Easter Island is one of the most isolated places on the planet, a tiny piece of land in the vast Pacific Ocean. And yet, the mysterious Rapa Nui civilization once flourished here, leaving us with the giant Moai as a legacy. But then something terrible happened. A society capable of erecting colossal statues, organizing complex rituals, and maintaining life on this remote island almost completely disappeared. What caused this catastrophe? How did a people who managed to conquer such an inhospitable land suddenly find themselves on the brink of extinction? Scientists have long sought an answer, and although the mystery of Rapa Nui has still not been fully solved, research points to several possible causes at once. One of the main versions is an ecological catastrophe caused by the island's inhabitants themselves. Easter Island was once covered in dense forests, but the ancient Rapa Nui began cutting down trees en masse to build moai, create canoes, and keep fires going. Over time, the forests became depleted, and with them the resources necessary for life disappeared. The disappearance of trees led to soil erosion, which caused irreparable damage to agriculture. The island became arid, and harvests were meager. Without wood, the islanders could no longer build boats, which deprived them of the opportunity to fish in the open ocean and maintain trade relations with other peoples. But the disaster did not end there. It is believed that internal wars between the Rapa Nui clans only worsened the situation. When resources became scarce, conflicts began over power and food. Archaeologists have discovered that many moai were thrown from platforms face down, which may indicate feuding between clans and the destruction of the previous social order. The great statues that once symbolized the strength of their ancestors became objects of hatred and revenge. Some scientists even suggest that cannibalism began on the island due to food shortages. Polynesian folklore contains references to people hunting each other when resources ran out. This could have been the final blow to the once thriving society. However, there is an alternative theory that challenges the idea that the Rapa Nui destroyed themselves. According to some studies, the final blow to the civilization could have been dealt by European colonists who first arrived on the island in the 17th century. They brought disease, slavery, and the destruction of the traditional way of life, which finally weakened the Rapa Nui people. By the time Europeans began actively developing the island in the 19th century, the population had dropped to a few hundred people, and the civilization itself was already in ruins. So what was the real reason for the disappearance of Rapa Nui? Was it ecological self-destruction, internal wars, or outside intervention? Perhaps all of these factors played a role, leading to one of the greatest tragedies in the history of lost civilizations. But despite this, the legacy of Rapa Nui lives on. The Moai still stand, like guardians of secrets that humanity has yet to unravel. Easter Island is more than just a piece of land in the Pacific Ocean. It is a living monument to a lost civilization that left us with a mystery that we still haven't found all the answers to. The Moai are more than just statues. They are the key to understanding the Rapa Nui people, their beliefs, their technology, and perhaps even the lost knowledge that was known to the ancients but forgotten by us. Who built these giants? And why were they created? How did people, without modern technology, manage to move statues weighing tens of tons for many kilometers? Why do they have hidden bodies covered in mysterious writings, the meaning of which remains encrypted to this day? And most importantly, what really happened to those who built them? Were they destroyed by disaster, war, famine, or does the mystery of their disappearance hold something more? Every new archaeological discovery on Easter Island raises more questions than answers. Perhaps we are only seeing the tip of the iceberg, and even more amazing discoveries are hidden underground that could change our understanding of human history. The world is full of mysteries, and the mystery of the Moai is one of the greatest mysteries left to us by ancient civilizations. Perhaps one day we will unravel their secret, but for now, they continue to silently watch the horizon, guarding their secrets. What do you think? Which theory seems most plausible to you? Write in the comments and let's discuss. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and check out other episodes. There are even more mystical and mysterious stories ahead.